if I used your sample and you're on BeatStars, you're getting 50%, you know? And if you're not on BeatStars, you should get on BeatStars because you're losing bread.
BeatStars, the foundation, the precedence. We flying flags in every city, global residence. And we killing off the masters. Ghetto slave driving bastards. We making hits faster than you could think. We're on the brink of revolution. All my indie music makers, here's your restitution. We got the game in a chokehold. Not paying the creators is a no-no. I got the smoke road for all the fam bam.
What's up, BeatStars fam? I'm Abe Batshon, the host of the Pay the Creators podcast here on BeatStars. I've got a special guest, one of the top-selling producers on BeatStars, a producer based in LA, but originally from Reedley, California, who's worked with the likes of Russ and Joey Badass, some of my favorite artists. Russ called this man a young legend.
That was a crazy.
He don't call many people that, and I couldn't agree more. This guy's been making moves in and out of sessions, industry, online, doing it all. My guy, PilotKid. Welcome to Pay the Creators, bro.
How you doing, brother? Oh, I got the reach a little bit.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks.
Doing,
I appreciate you. Appreciate you being on the podcast, man. I had to come out to you. You know, LA.
Yeah, you always on the move, man. I appreciate you.
Not really, actually. I be staying at the house. Man,
really?
Just working. Yeah.
I feel like every time I talk to you, like, wouldn't you?
I usually come out and see you here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's what it is then.
Yeah, man.
My guy.
We were talking a little bit backstage about just like you moving from California. And this is kind of like, you know, born and raised out here.
Yeah.
Well, we can get into like the reasons why, but I'd love for you to kind of just like introduce yourself to the community, man, to the people. Give us a little bit of your background, upbringing.
Yeah. All right, so I'll look into this camera. My name's PilotKid, from Reedley, California. This is like 45 minutes outside of Fresno, if you know where that is, Central California. And yeah, I been making music pretty much since 2015, I would say. But I was always involved in music. I would say my first like encounters with music had to come with my older brother, 7 years older than me, but he had like a rock band, and like this is like the time when like screamo rock and like that whole thing was like really big, and like I remember Fall Out Boy was like one of the first bands I ever liked, and he had a drum set, so he would like show me little things, and like it started with that, and then like
how old were you when you were playing on the drum set?
Maybe like this is probably like fourth grade or like third grade. I don't even know. I knew like one song, and it was like the easiest song you could play. And then fifth grade, probably this is when I got into band, and I was a huge band geek all throughout school and high school. I played trombone, got into guitar like maybe around the same time as well. So music was always something I loved, you know, like just growing up. I remember my brother had the Xbox 360, and he only had 2 albums on there. One of them was one of those rock ones, and the other one was a Carter 3. And so all I could do is play Gears of War and just run those 2 albums over and over and over again. And then so through that, I had my little library card, and like my mom would take me to the library. And this is back when like burning CDs was still a thing. So I would go and get like CDs. Like this is just me discovering music. Like my grandma got me a clock radio one year, and like my brother gave me some burnt CDs, and like I was not allowed to use a computer, so I would try to write out the lyrics. And like I remember Juicy by Biggie, like I was just making up words. I was like, why would he say this? This doesn't make sense. But music's always something that has spoken to me since a very young age. So I think I've always had it in my life. And then as I got into high school is when I really started to like the mixtape era, like Kush and Orange Juice and like Mac Miller dropping and all that stuff is really when I started to fall in love with hip hop. But it was the J. Cole Power Trip video on YouTube where he's on the bus and he's talking about how he made the beat. Up until that point, I really didn't give any credence to like what a producer is or anything like that. I just know I liked music, and I saw him just do it like from scratch. And so I was like, damn, like if he could do that with that, I could definitely do that. And so I got everything in that video. I got when I graduated high school, as a gift, my parents got me a MacBook for college. I got Logic because I was in the video, both of those things, and the same MIDI keyboard he had. And then it just started there. And so that's when I started making beats and
Damn.
Yeah.
So J. Cole gave you the whole producer kit in that video.
It really was that point. I know it's not just me. I'm sure there's other people that are watching be like, yeah, that was me too. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was. That's really.
I'm sure he didn't even like really consciously think about like that he was doing that for young people, like showing people on the production side. And you know what's crazy is like a lot of artists never really showed that side of them when they did production. You know, a lot of them would do production, but they wouldn't like show that side of them. And he was kind of like proud to do it. You know, like one of the most like craziest stories, right? Was it last year when J. Cole hit up Batman on BeatStars?
Bro, so crazy. I saw it the other day. It's like it's sitting at like 7 million, I think, right now, or 8 million. Because that's still the only place you could listen to it, unless you like
grabbed the beat from him and told him to just drop it himself on
his
Batman's YouTube channel on
a
tight beat producer channel.
And he was already making J. Cole beats, so like it's like now you got the stamp. Oh, bro, it's like it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Batman, bro.
Yeah, shout out to Batman, but shout out to J. Cole. He did not have to do any of that.
Yeah.
Like, to just give an indie producer like a song, like here, drop this, go ahead. Like you can have this.
Yeah, I mean he produced.
Who the fuck does that, bro? Like that's crazy. But you gotta respect it.
Yeah, he seems like just one of those guys that just knows what it's like. I feel like I've been a J. Cole fan since like the warm up. So like just
he's a music nerd.
See all that stuff and hear everything like that. I think a lot of people that are like in that mode that love J. Cole definitely see that.
Yo, J. Cole, we got to get some of your beats on BeatStars, bro. Like we got a lot of J. Cole type beats on the platform.
He made a self-care. I mean, Self-Care by Mac. He's done, but like I feel like the stuff he produces, he just doesn't talk about. It's like that secret lore you got to go find out.
It's kind of like he puts on a producer hat when he wants to and just pretends like he's a producer.
I think that's the most fire thing ever, bro.
And then puts on the artist hat whenever he feels like
Tyler does that. King Cruel, a lot of people.
Right. That's dope. Yeah, I love when you work with an artist and they have a respect for like your craft. You know what I mean? And but a lot of artists when they first kind of like, because out of necessity sometimes from affordability too. Like back in the day, artists used to have to figure out how to produce themselves because like man, like buying a beat.
That's me. That's my story. I started off as an artist.
Yeah,
I was only started off producing for myself, and I think a big part of why I don't want to say figured out YouTube, but like for a few years, there was a point in time when I was producing for like a couple years and trying to do everything myself, and I would go on YouTube and see all these beats that are way better than myself. And so back then, like I would go on BeatStars, like people I'm homies with now, I'd be like, I rapped over your beats and I bought those beats, and like so I know like that whole game and what it like from an artist perspective, what I was looking for when I would click on the next video, like. So I think that definitely helped me getting into the whole YouTube BeatStars thing, you know, because I definitely started off just being an artist and producing solely for myself. Right. Even when I put my first beats on YouTube, it was beats from my album that I was producing for myself. Right. And
that's dope.
Yeah, I mean, it took on my album. It's like up until this point, I'm getting like max. I think most I ever got was 1,000 plays on SoundCloud, and even then I was like, damn, like that was such a big milestone for me, 1,000 plays, and then.
I've always said, and I've always talked to producers because I'm an artist. I write songs, right? Yeah. And I've always told them that having that songwriter component in your workflow, like being able to like really put a vision in place for a song, even though you might not be performing it yourself or you might not be putting it on your own album. If you don't develop that part of your brain, I'm sorry, I don't think you can really sell beats at a level that you really need to. Because like even though you said like, okay, I started out as a rapper, don't feel like that that experience was ever wasted because you still use it. Yeah, no, you still use it. You still use it when you're producing because if you don't understand a song format and understand like what arrangements like how to change up every 4 bars when you need to change up every 4 bars to keep a song interesting.
How to keep it simple, the
or
beat
tone,
simple.
or like exactly creating the landscape for a vocal because the vocal is an instrument and people don't really think of it like that. Yeah. So if you're just producing with never really hearing a vocal on your track, like I'm sorry, I don't think you can make it.
I think that's such
it's not going to work.
That's such an important thing because I feel like there is. I run into like beats that I hear online that like sometimes I feel like people are confused. Like this sounds like it could be on any this and that or whatever. Like it's up to par with like a beat from this album or this album, whatever. But like there's just something to be said about all my top selling beats. You hear it and it's like It almost pulls something out of you. Like that's like that I feel like that's one of the biggest things I try to go for is like, is this like pulling something out of me, you know? Because it's like that. I think there's something to be said. Like as a producer, there's only so much you can do. Like that's another thing about YouTube is like you have to sell yourself off of a beat with no vocals on it to somebody else, and so it's like how
are you gonna pull them?
Yeah, it's like it's really about being honest about that and being like, does this like if I'm selling it to myself, it's not gonna translate because I already got to sell it to somebody else. You know what I mean? It's like just being honest about that.
You have like a very like similar story to a lot of successful producers on BeatStars. Is that you come from a really small town where you said you didn't really have any examples of like music production other than watching a J. Cole video or watching your brother, you know, make music with his band, right? And so being exposed to like music production in general and from a small town, it's not really encouraged. It's not really something that's like available.
It doesn't exist.
It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I believe, this is what I believe, why so many dope producers come from these little small villages and towns all over the world on BeatStars and they crack it big is because they're really put in a position where they're back against the wall, kind of like out of necessity, like for you to connect with other people, it had to be digitally. It had to be, you had to hack your way to kind of like, you know,
my only choice.
Connect, your only choice,
option.
Right?
I literally did everything. I sent spam messages on Instagram. Like I like this funny. Like sometimes I'll have artists. I'll be like from like 2019. I've sent I fuck with your beats or I like your music, this and that or whatever. Like I've done everything like just from scratch, zero, at all online, all digital. And so, but like that's.
I kind of feel bad for kids that grow up in cities like LA, New York. Like I kind of feel bad for them because they feel like their entry point into the game is a little bit convoluted with too much industry. Yeah. It's convoluted with too much industry where they're being fed a narrative on how to succeed. Yeah. On because that's just they're the talent pool in the local area. Yeah. And so I feel like people that grow up in big cities like LA and New York, I feel like they need to get out. They need to leave. They need to leave as soon as possible if you haven't made it yet. Because you need to tap into a whole different sense, like brain sense in a way, like, where you're not exercising the industry. You're not exercising, I got to go to this club. I got to go to this studio, or I got to go to meet with this songwriter. I got to be part of this. You know what I'm saying? Where you're kind of like conforming to everyone else but yourself. Yeah. You're not conforming to anyone but yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was, I think, a big advantage for you.
Agreed.
And then coming here already with that stability, that foundation, where you're looking at everyone else like, you guys are doing this all wrong.
I never knew about like the politics and the industry like things until I moved to LA. Up until that point, all the energy that got me up to that place was, this is so good. If somebody heard it, I know they would like this. It was just like that adamance of like, I love this. I know somebody else would love this. Like, there's just no way that like, it's just that under like that. But that energy, that even me talking about it, like that's like, it's been a commitment to that because it's just being online. It's that much more of an uphill battle that I could not lie to myself and be like,
when you first got here, were you intimidated a little bit? Like you didn't coming from a small town, were you intimidated a little bit?
For sure, but
you felt like you had to try to fit in somehow, some way.
Definitely. I think I did everything the wrong way a million times over, but it took me like learning. I think, that I mean, coming from like nothing exists. There's nothing where I'm from. There's a farm and we don't even got a Walmart, bro. We got one high school and like a 7-Eleven. Like you could drive by it, blink, and it's
cracking,
over, bro.
I bet you that 7-Eleven's cracking.
So when you hear, when you hear somebody talking about like, you walk to somebody's crib and they got these records on the wall. They're saying like, I did this for this person. It's like, this is it.
It's different.
I'm on the other side of the TV screen. It was like, this is it. Now it's happening. So, I definitely was, I would say, naive when I first moved out here and just kind of believed everything with everything. But I mean, I held on to the fact, and that's the beautiful thing about BeatStars is like, I got the music. So like as long as I have this and have ownership of this, and I'm keep like everything else is like I can choose to lend this and lend it this way or whatever. But for sure, I had no, I mean I still don't even know really like industry stuff like that. Like I know what I know up until this point, but I'm definitely grateful for that. I don't think I've ever even thought about that perspective until you brought it up right now.
But once you got here and you got rid of the intimidation, right?
Yeah.
And you got comfortable, you know, you found your comfort zone here. A lot of I was I was talking to somebody just the other day, bro. Somebody called me and they're like, "Yeah, I'm going to move to LA." You know, another one of our producers, I'm gonna move to LA, and all my friends. I have some other producer friends out there. I'm gonna start working on stuff.
Yeah.
And what would you say to that dude that is coming out here to kind of figure out a way to establish themselves, right?
Yeah.
And avoid any of the traps that are here, because there are some great things about being in a city like this that has that much talent, that has that much creative energy. Like there's ways to navigate it, but some people it takes a couple years before they find out the real story in a way.
Yeah, I would just say like, first of all, don't sign anything. Like that's one thing I never signed anything ever. I can't tell you
don't sign anything.
The biggest beat that I had that we'll get into, I can't tell you how many different people tried to get me to sign it. How many like there's so much, but I knew once I signed this, there's no going back. But like so much pressure from like, hey, we have this opportunity. If you don't sign it by this day, it's gonna be gone. Then for some reason another opportunity comes up. Hey, we still need this sign. I had like what I would say to that person is
so they were hitting you hard with people were hitting you hard with agreements right away.
Because I didn't know. Like
Holy
you know what I'm saying?
shit,
This one kid with this one beat that everybody loves. And it's like we want that so we can you know and so it's like all I did was just not do anything. Which is, you know, like that
you're just like, I don't understand this. I'm just not gonna do it.
Signing because that's my leverage. That's gone. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Luckily,
but a lot of people fall into it though.
Yeah,
so
I would say
they sign away their best beat.
Hold on to your leverage, bro. Like you don't, you never know like what a beat could do for you or where it could go. You know what I'm saying? Because once it's gone, it's gone. That's it. But to that person, that's, I would say first of all, don't shy away from a big city. I think there is a lot to be learned in big cities, and like even just being around people and meeting other creative people, that for
that's the best part.
There's nothing better for me than being in a room with somebody and I feel like, oh, my beats, like these beats are ridiculous. Like, I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that much these days. But when I first got here, I was like, I got to step my game up. You know what I'm saying? But
talent.
Like without, being in somewhere that like because when I'm online and in my own little echo chamber, just my YouTube with my audience, they already like what I'm, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's really hard to see. But when you step into a camp with all these other producers who playing these beats, and it's like you play your beat and all the air gets sucked out of the room. You're like, oh yeah, it's like, oh, I've had those moments, bro. But those moments made me go harder. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't have a fire if I didn't have those cringe moments of like, oh dude, I gotta go so much harder. You know?
That's dope.
So that's I think that's a big thing about what I had for like moving out here.
The uncomfort of like the humbling realization that your beats might not be that good, bro.
And that happens in big cities and where you come, you know. But I would just say do not sign anything and be wary of anybody that has. I would say also say don't take anything personal because I definitely did that in the beginning and just coming from a small town, I think people just are different in the way that they interact and like cordial in certain ways and like I think out here you'll get a lot of people that will say one thing and it's like nothing really exists if a better opportunity is there. Like everything else is so I would just say like, but don't take it personally because at the end of the day, everybody's here to do what's best for them, you know? So just like,
that's for sure.
Just understand that and just like, you know, but like there's also like so many great people. I've met so many great people. Like the horror stories I have are just like few and far between. They do exist.
But you needed them though.
But I needed them. Exactly.
Yeah. But you needed those. A lot of producers would come into a situation, like you said, where they had a humbling realization where their beats were not as good as they thought it was. And they probably pack up and go home, go back to their little town. Yeah. You know? But you chose not to. You chose to, you know, push through and step it up yourself, you know? So I'm just curious, like being in a session like that where you're with a bunch of producers and you're like, okay, I really need to step myself up. How long did it take for you to after you've kind of elevated your craft to be like, okay, I'm ready for this next
That
session?
night, I'll tell you exactly
night.
the exact day it happened. I was in a Bryson Tiller camp a couple years ago. His manager was in there. We all had like 3 or 4 beats to play.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the reactions for the other beats. I saw the reactions for my beats. There was still like a few more days in the camp. Oh my, that feeling was just like, oh, there's my opportunity. It's just like walked out the door. That's what it felt. I don't know what this man was thinking. He probably didn't even care. Like,
you're overthinking
that's how
it.
I felt.
Usually artists are not going to tell you anyway.
Yeah,
right.
It probably wasn't that big of a deal.
Right.
But I went home. I knew where the bar was at. I was up till like maybe 5, 6 in the morning.
Right.
Came back the next day. I played him for our A&R guy who was like moving things around the camp. And he was like, "When'd you make this?" I was like, I said this morning. And he was like, I could tell. Like he was like, and that, you know, I don't know whatever happened.
The next day.
Yes.
The next day.
Well, what am I gonna, you know, it made me better. And like that, the bar was raised.
Right.
And it's like, at the end of the day, this is an industry and you're competing to be, for me at least, to push music forward and to, if you're not like, you got to look at the greater music industry as competition. Like you're in the league. Like I'm here to compete. I'm here to like speak through my sound. And if I'm not anything that is extraordinary, why is anybody going to take their time to listen?
But what's dope about, I think, what the BeatStars platform has done I feel like for the music industry, because, you know, like collaboration splits and all that stuff, stuff never existed until BeatStars did it, right?
Yeah.
When we took away the awkwardness of the funny money kind of situation where you can just easily collab and split money and not have to worry about like feelings and like, oh, yo, this person owes me $100 for this track or that, it opened up the doors for where you're still competing for yourself, but you're like, you know what? I can compete with other people together with me now. Like I can like Voltron, like I can connect with other people. And it's like, it's competition, but you're kind of like all on the same
100%
path in a way.
For a long time, you know? Stoic was like, he was making the same type of beats as me, and he was like,
oh shit,
he was like 6 months ahead of me in career trajectory, and that was always like my op. I was like, I got to get this guy. Like, oh, you dropped a beat, nah, I'm gonna come harder. Like whatever. And then one day I was just like, why don't I just reach out to this man? And now we're like best friends. Like,
did you reach out? You were the one who initiated.
Yeah. Turns out he knew who. But I'm saying, like, to go off of your point,
I love that.
That's a perfect example of another BeatStars person that I met from doing the same thing. But like,
he's dope.
It was the competitive thing, but then when I switched it to
that's so sick. Dog.
And there's so many stories like that.
Because you know what, in the industry, that would have been a negative situation. You know, like if it was just an industry situation, you know, where there was no online ability to break bread together, do things together, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it would have been just like every time you see him, he's an op. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And there wouldn't have been any room for, because no one was trying to share publishing back in the day. Yeah. No one was trying to like, you know, like there was never like, no, this is my connect. So you don't need publishing on this one. I'm putting you on. Yeah. That's how it was back in the day, bro.
Still like that now.
No, I know, but I'm saying like, you know, like not as much as it used to be probably, right? You guys can demand a lot more now. And no matter how the collab happened, you can still demand your ownership, still demand things. Back in the day, it didn't happen. Yeah. If a bigger producer puts you on back in the day, bro, you might not even be in the credits, dog.
Exactly.
You might have produced the whole thing. And that dude takes full credit for producing it. That's how it used to be.
I've had offers like that.
That's how it used to be.
Bigger producer be like, yo, be the ghost producer for this.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
No.
But that's how it used to be.
Yeah.
So the blessing of you being able to be like, you know what, dude, man, I can't keep competing with this guy in the same like universe of beats. Let me just like connect with him, dude. Yeah. And it's turned, and so you said it like it's turned into a great
We're like the closest homies. I'm moving. He's like one of the main reasons that I'm moving to New York is like because he's from there, and like through meeting him, and I got to see the city and fall in love with the city and everything like that. So yeah, like lifetime. I get all of my closest homies right now. Like I think about it right now, they all came from BeatStars. They all came from. We do the same thing. None of us are from the same area. I got a homie from Florida. Got a homies from Toronto. Homie from New York, Baltimore. None of us, but somehow Chicago. we all find time to just, and it's like, like we're like lifelong friends, but yeah, shout out to the internet.
Hell yeah. Do you still put up a lot of collabs on your platform when you drop beats? Yeah. Okay. So you're still actively like collabing with producers.
Yeah. If I used your sample and you're on BeatStars, you're getting 50%,
Amazing.
And if you're not on BeatStars, you should get on BeatStars because you're losing bread.
Right.
So that's always how I've liked to approach things with like, I know some people are weird about percentages and like, I got a big YouTube, so you only get 15, like,
right.
Whatever, dude. Like,
you're all just helping each other, really, man. At the end of the day, you're just, the artists don't care. Like, we don't care.
Yeah.
Like, when we're browsing through beats, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care how it got up there. Yeah. You know what I mean? If it touches my soul and if it fits like the thing that I'm trying to work on at that specific moment, I really don't care how you got the sample, who you collab with. And if you don't have that consistency of being able to drop shit on your platform, it may never get discovered. And sometimes you go, you need inspiration from other people, just to get over the hill.
Sometimes my collabs that are not on my YouTube have gone up on Stoic's channel or on Eerie Sky's channel. Right. And like, there's opportunities that would have not happened without collabs from other people. Like at the same time, it's your collab, yes, but it's also their collab for their people.
They're pushing
bringing two worlds together.
Hell yeah.
There's like a lot of the times, like I have several beats where they have bigger channels than I do, and all the sales come from that. It's like that's if it wasn't for the collab, like what I'm saying. There's so many people I could think of like that.
It's the truth. You're sharing audiences, and if you make similar music, that audience is gonna like your music. You guys are gonna swap audiences, so it's like you get more fans and you just more variety for the artist to have.
You get to spread the work out too. I think of like sticking to a consistent upload schedule. If you're collabing with people, that's like, oh, you get to I did this, but like you can finish up this beat. Now I can move on to other things, and it's kind of like a collaborative.
Yes, bro. The most savvy business people understand that, like having diversity of products and having having different SKUs in your store, right? Like being able to provide a variety of like sounds and music to a customer base that's the internet, where millions of people are listening to your shit. You literally have millions of people listening to your stuff on YouTube and BeatStars, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Crazy. How are you going to feed all of them what they want? And when you talk about like pulling people into a song or a beat, you were saying, you said something in the studio. You're like, man, I didn't get the reaction I wanted. I was thinking in my head, I wasn't getting the reaction from that artist. And I will tell, like you got to tell, and you're an artist too, bro. Yeah. Like you can't force an artist to write to a track. No. Like there is a time, place, emotion, subject. When an artist listens to a beat, they know when it's time to write. And it doesn't mean your beat is bad. It doesn't mean your track is terrible. Exactly. It's just that moment in time, the inspiration that sparked at that moment may not be fit for that track.
Exactly.
So it's like you said, don't take it personal.
I also think if you have a strong enough sound, you can just create that instantly. Like alchemize that vibe. Like I wasn't even on this, but I heard it. I can tell you how many times that happens. Like I've never made a song like this before, but this is just potent enough that like I'm on this now. You know what I'm saying? But to that point, I think that's like a big thing that I try to push about like chasing placements and stuff like that. It's like so much of it is out of your control. Like every factor you just described, it's like there's so many things going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's like
can't control it.
That's what's amazing about YouTube and BeatStars. You can control that. That's you got this going on. There's so many things going on in the ether that like for a song to land, really, it's magic. Really, right?
It's a numbers game at the end of the day. So it's like if you're worried about the reaction in the studio, then play the numbers game online. Get in front of thousands of people. One person will like your shit. And buy it. You know what I mean? Yo, let's talk about your creative process a little bit. I'm just curious to like, how do you approach making a beat? Do you start, because you said you play drums, like do you start with drums first? Do you do sample? Like,
I actually just started doing drums like first because I'm always a sample guy first because I tend to make more melodic things. So I have like that ear for melodic stuff. Me personally, that's what I like to create. But really it's such a hard, let me think. A lot of the times I'm thinking about it's just like going in there and getting in the flow and just whether that's a sample I hear or I like start with the drum. Like usually if I have absolutely nothing, I'll start with some kind of drum pattern, some sort of thing, and then I'll like maybe put samples over it or play something over it or something like that. It's really just getting in the flow of things. There are times when I'm inspired. I feel like if I were to drop examples of that, it's not really accurate because those are few and far in between where I'm actually like, I'm inspired to make this. A lot of the times it's just going in there and trying to make something crazy and just tweaking it around and not knowing what I'm going to make a lot of the times is what helps me out a lot, I think. I think the only times I ever get beat block is if I'm like, I need to make a pack for this artist and this type of things, because then the bar is, I'm never going to reach that. So like, it's like I'll spend way too long and overthink everything. If I'm just ideally in like let me just make something that I feel, whatever I'm feeling that day, that's the easiest thing to tap into all the time is however I'm feeling inside. And I think I have like a good ability of being able to, like I said, as a producer, I don't have words to say how I feel, express myself. This is art at the end of the day, so I do that with sound. And so that might be a certain chord progression, or it might be a sample, or it might be piano, it might be a genre, it might be all kinds of things, but I think it all goes back to the way I'm feeling at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are some like, I guess some like musical inspirations for yourself? Like when you when you first started creating, and maybe some now. Like, how do you keep staying inspired to make music and evolve?
I think so. Some of my favorites coming up was like Kanye, Tyler, Tame Impala, Childish Gambino, Drake. A lot of jazz stuff, Kendrick. But I think what really did it for me is the songs that really spoke to me, the cult classics like the Runaways and the 90210s and the Sing About Me's, those real like deep cuts that people like love, that like this song speaks to me. I think a lot of my inspiration comes from being able to make songs and beats like that. Like that's all my inspiration, even for making music, started with, is like hearing songs that like just like when you hear music that it just speaks to you, like, and more than any movie or like person, anything, just like this is just hitting right now. Feeling.
I can hear a lot of Kendrick influences on your stuff. Like I'm surprised he hasn't like got on one of your tracks.
I'm surprised too. I mean, maybe it's out there somewhere. He
sounds perfect on. He would sound like great.
It's a rap.
I want to get into a couple tracks that have like hit off your store.
Yeah.
One of them is Lucy. I'm gonna pull up a couple tracks.
Classic.
And then this one from this last 9 to 10 months.
Yeah.
Salvation.
Yeah.
These two tracks are really interesting to me, and
completely different vibes, by the way.
Completely different vibes, different time periods. And I just kind of want to hear you like break down why this beat did what it did. This one's your top selling beat, Lucy.
Yeah. Honestly, this is a funny story. This is one of those beats that.
Should we play it first?
Yeah, play it.
Let's play it.
This beat, I could not escape this beat for.
You couldn't escape it?
Bro, I was hearing this beat everywhere. When this was first going up for like a year, I could not escape this beat everywhere, bro. Like, crazy.
What were the type of songs people were making on this one that you've heard that?
Like Tame Impala kind of stuff, like real. I mean, it just feels good, like it's just like dancing, kind of like. It's interesting to hear how other people like to hear different versions of a song. Like, it's so crazy. But
did you play this one? It seems like this seems all original, no samples. This doesn't sound like.
This has some samples in it.
It does, huh?
Yeah. Like I added guitar, bass. It's like a lot of the weird thing. That's a sample.
Okay.
Like some weird little. It's like some Russian, like library music from the 70s.
Whoa.
Like super obscure.
Interesting.
I don't even think it has 1,000 plays on YouTube.
I wouldn't think this would be your top selling beat. I'll be honest with you.
I definitely did not. I didn't think that either. Up until this point, I was making like Kanye beats and stuff like that. If you go to this beat on YouTube, I
wonder like what audience this hit.
I don't know. The pinned comment says, I don't know if you all are gonna like. I needed an upload. I was in Hawaii on vacation, and like my upload schedule was every other day, and I needed one. This was just one of those ones where I was like, I don't know, but whatever. I'm gonna just put it up there. If it flops, it flops. Didn't flop. went crazy.
And there's not really like a defined chorus, really. Like,
No.
interesting, man.
Yeah. I think the whole
you know,
timestamp thing. People ask
Yeah.
me for timestamps now. I don't know when that started. I think that's a little overrated too. Cause I'm like, bro, I'm not gonna sit here. You want me to make the song for you
No.
too? Like,
No, dude.
chop it up, do whatever you want, bro. Like,
Right,
you know.
right.
But
that just shows to tell you that
you never know.
you don't know which track is gonna
No.
take off.
No,
You don't
because
even
for
know.
all that things that I said about trying as hard as I could to be extraordinary, that's one of the ones where I had completely no idea that it was going to do what it did. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there was a lot of beats like that on YouTube at the time. I think it sounds very unique.
You sold like hundreds of, if not thousands, of licenses for this one.
Yeah, that one's up there, man. That one's still up there, still selling. Yeah,
Still selling.
yeah. I'll
That's dope.
probably sell a few a week.
Damn,
Probably.
dude.
Yeah, that's. But you know, if I would have signed those contracts back then, you know, who
And
knows?
it's dope that it's been 4 years and you haven't sold it exclusively. So it's
No.
still a catalog earner for you. Like it still earns revenue.
And it could still, somebody could take that song tomorrow and it could go viral. And like, who knows what could happen? You know what I'm saying? Like that, it has life still. You know
so
what I'm
has
saying?
life. Good
For-
music always has life, no matter what.
Exactly. If for as many licenses as it's sold, and I've always just felt that like a good song, none of that matters. A good song is just gonna like boom. That's gonna be like, oh, this is the beat for this song, you know. So it's
Right,
like,
right.
yeah, that's one of those ones.
I'm gonna play another one,
Yeah,
Salvation, which
Yeah.
this one you couldn't escape it. If you were on BeatStars this last year, you couldn't escape this one.
Really?
I felt like I heard this thing a million times, dude. Because of that one, because of that.
this is one of those feeling ones. Yeah, I have this saying of like, if you're hearing,
I gotta be
music-
honest. I wrote to this.
Yeah,
I have.
good.
I have.
Bro, you gotta show
I have
me
like.
that.
I have a couple verses on this. But I haven't dropped it yet.
Fire. Yeah, this is.
It's special.
It's special, bro.
It's emotional.
It's just like my thing with making beats is like, if I like to think if your attention is elsewhere other than the music, that's a sign of like when I'm listening to this, it's hard for me to even speak right now because I'm like listening to this at the same
Right, it pulls
time.
you
It's
in.
like yeah,
That right there.
yeah, those drums and the next part I played guitar on it and like did the whole
Yeah.
This is one of those ones where I was
Special.
like walking around my room.
Yeah. What happened that day?
I think this is on the other side of me feeling what I was told you earlier of like just feeling like I was kind of like in a drier season creatively and just like I was just looking for something something special. Like that's all I'm ever looking for. But that time I really was just like it's undeniable. Like something just like really pulls you.
Did you just hear that vocal sample some first and I was like, okay, I'm start with that.
Yeah. I heard it. I just knew that like built around it. Had drums, bass, that guitar earlier.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful beat. Like
Thanks, man.
this is one of those like it's like pieces of music, man. Like it captures a moment in time for people as an artist, someone that's going through something. Like I wrote about my kids in this one.
Wow.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Just
That's amazing.
sometimes being distant from my oldest, just being separated from him, not seeing him. He's in college. He's away, and so it's like like it doesn't
that
matter.
just gave me a perspective on that I didn't have prior to you saying that. So now anytime I hear that now, I'm gonna think of that, be like, damn, there's also
Stories.
this longing and this like, all these different emotions. Like,
longing.
wow, that's beautiful.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah, man. So I mean, that's you guys really help people. This shit is therapy, man.
It goes back to what I was saying earlier about the Runaways and the Sing About Me's and those deep cuts that
Runaways,
really speak to people.
yeah.
Like
I can hear that. Inspiring.
I'm always trying to. That's my bar. Like off of the last Russ album, Oasis, one of the songs that I produced. It's interesting that a lot of the beats and sounds that I make lend themselves to just introspective writing. I think, like you said, that you hear a lot of Kendrick influence. Kendrick is very introspective.
Yes.
And so it's funny that the song that he made, Oasis, on that, like the beat, I don't know, obviously I don't know what he's going to write, but he made a deep cut and he made, he made a song that he really connected with. Is like because of this beat, like I was able to go in and like write about some real things that I was going through at the time, and like that for me, that was all that mattered to me. Is I made a song that was therapy for him and for other people that'd be like,
Right.
yo, like what you're talking about in this song, I was just going through, like that's it. That's all I
Right.
care about is
Right.
that therapy that you're talking
It's
about.
real,
That
man.
that's it.
Yeah. Sometimes we just, artists, we just write music not knowing like what audience is going to hit, like it's going to hit. And we're just releasing energy that we need to release because it's bottling up inside,
I think that's the best things that I feel like you can tell when music is where the intention is, where it came from. You can tell when somebody had fun making a
Depends
song.
on the artist sometimes, right?
Yeah. Sometimes you could tell this is too orchestrated or you were trying too much to do this. Sometimes you could tell like this is just so organic and like, I think there's a lot to be said about it's hard to
Right.
dig deep and go
For
into that
sure. You got to be
stuff.
vulnerable. You got to be,
Yeah.
gotta be
And you don't
able
got to do it all the time. I love making hype shit too, but like
Yep.
I think that's a well that's never gonna go dry. Is that
For
however
sure.
you feel
For sure.
inside? So,
Yeah, like when people talk about, oh man, all I hear is the same thing over and over. It's like artists are they're not tapping enough into their like real life experiences enough to make something original.
I think a lot of that comes from you see a formula that worked, so it's safe. It's like, well,
Safe.
at least it's not. If it hits to this line,
Right.
I mean, the highest it's ever gonna go is what it's trying to emulate.
Yeah.
It's never gonna go higher than that because that already exists. But it's safe because as long as it sounds like this, I know this worked.
Right.
Should work, right?
So yeah, like you were saying, like it's a sport. There's artists that approach the game like you said. I'll find a safe zone just to kind of make it right and kind of provide a dumbed down version of music just to feed a certain demographic audience. And then you got people like a J. Cole that it's a sport. I'm gonna try to out rap you. I'm gonna try to write the best song, or like a Kendrick, where it's like I'm gonna try to hit you with the most real emotional stuff that I can hit you with the real life. So there's different ways to approach it.
Yeah.
You produced a bunch of songs for Russ,
Yeah.
and I want to get into how that happened.
Yeah.
But this song I want to listen to. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And then you got to tell us how this shit came together.
This
'Cause this is a banger.
This is probably the 70th beat I sent in the group chat. Like, this is after a year of me sending beats in a group chat that Russ is in. And it was just like the next day he sent it back. Yo, this is crazy. Here you go. You never know. But this is like on the other side of so many other beats that I sent. So,
You don't know.
never know. Never know. I didn't know it was going to be this one. I knew it was fine. I think it's going to be everyone, you know? I feel like he doesn't have a lot of songs like this too,
Nah.
like on beats like this.
Yeah, like just snap and just talk.
Yeah. Shout out to Elkin.
Made $3 million in a month, yeah, that's a hat trick. Used to always cheap inside my home, I felt like Patrick.
He went off, dude.
Yeah. They did that video, Paris Fashion Week.
I feel like even Russ, I think a lot of people don't talk about this a lot. I feel like he went through like an identity crisis a little bit when he first came in the game. He got a lot of fame real fast early in the game. And I felt like he was trying to fit into the Atlanta industry. Like he was trying to be one, you know what I'm saying? And then I feel like the last 2 or 3 years, he's really found his audience. He's really talking to his he's like representing like, independent music and collaborating with a lot of independent producers and like taking energy from you guys and being open to not trying to just fit in, but create his own like way of making music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he goes into that entirely on the whole last album, Santiago, that we made, which is exclusively made by producers from they're all on BeatStars. Odd Status is
Dang.
we met Russ. Well, I didn't meet the founders, Chase Bank, Prod Tide, both BeatStars guys. So Chase used to live next door to Milan for like 2 years, bugging him over and over again. Milan, Russ's manager. Yo, we got beats. Finally, this one day, Milan tells Russ is like, fly these kids out. We went for 3 days, played him beats. He was working on an album at the time. he's like, yeah, I'm scrapping everything. I'm gonna fly you guys back out. We're gonna make an album.
Damn, dude, that's
Just
dope.
like that. Everybody from all over, like nobody was from. We had people from.
And Chase Bank was kind of like the connector, the
Yeah.
original
Yeah.
connector for all of it.
Yep. And
And
so
who were who were all those producers? Do you remember all the names?
So Odd Status, that trip
Odd
was
Status.
me, myself, Lucas Quinn,
Lucas Quinn,
Broke Boy,
Broke Boy.
Chase Bank, Prod Tide, and Morrow. I think that's it. Dilly came in after.
Dilly.
Am I missing anybody?
Like internet all stars, man.
Yeah. all BeatStars guys, you know.
Amazing.
But that's how we met. That's how we created that collective. Was we were all like peers on
and you guys all looked out for each other on that project, basically.
Yeah. It was just all of us. And
what was that experience like? He flew you out. Where did you guys go to?
We stayed in an Airbnb, like 30 minutes from his crib, and every other night, it had to be every other night. So for like a month and a half, I was in Atlanta.
Okay.
Every other day, we would go to his house. Sometimes like sessions would start at 11 p.m., midnight. He was a night owl at this time, so we would go, cook up, or he would tell us what he was on that day, and then he would record over beats he had from prior or whatever. After like 3 or 4 hours, we would just be at his house making beats like all over the house. He had instruments, all kinds of things, just there at his crib.
Crazy.
The other night, play show and tell, and then he would hear stuff. And then we had like the system going, and there's all kinds of stories in between of ping pong matches and basketball stuff. Like there was a whole bonding that went on during that entire time. But yeah, it was just.
He must have been intentional about that though, like to create that environment for you guys to be. You know, kind of like this brotherhood of producers.
Yeah.
To just like get out of your comfort zone, get into this house.
Yeah.
And he had it like formatted in a way where there was a schedule. There was like this was not a game. Like we're working on a big album for a big artist.
He pushed us. He told us, you know, I can't promise what this album will do, but I can promise you that people will hear this. People will hear your music. And he played us beat packs from all the major. That was a big moment for me. I'm not gonna say who he played packs from, but that was a big moment in my career where we got to listen to some of these packs from some of the biggest producers in the game, and I was like, that's it. That's all it takes.
All they got?
Ever since that day, I was like, oh, this is it. Like we're here. You know what I'm saying? So he did a lot, bro. Like I can't thank Russ enough for that whole entire experience and just him putting us on game. I think he saw a bunch of young, hungry producers, and he knows what that's like and coming up and everything. I think he just fed off of that, and we had a whole thing going, and yeah, it was just, man, that was such a time.
He's another guy that used to make beats too, right? Like I felt like he used to
still
produce
does.
as well. He still does.
Yeah, In the Dirt. That was like second to last single that he dropped. That was him. He still does it all the time. Yeah.
Got it. And that Santiago album was like, that was like an acclaimed Russ album. I felt like the internet went crazy for that one, dude. Like out of all of his projects, I felt like that was the one that was getting so much visibility everywhere.
Yeah.
It had so much press.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
That was his. He used to say, he's like, I'm trying to make something better than my beautiful dark twisted fantasy. That was the bar for Russ.
Damn.
And so he would tell us that all the time. He's like, I'm trying to make the greatest album ever. Like that was the energy he was on. So, you know, it kept us all like pushing the bar high. And like same thing with the show and tell every night. If he picked this guy, if he picked like 3 of Lucas's beats and none of mine, the next day, oh hell no, Lucas, like that's my boy, but nah, dude, heck no.
Okay,
like,
so you guys were competing with each other too.
Yeah, because like he's. I mean, at least I was. If
Yeah,
he's not
you had
picking
to
your
be.
beat,
They all were.
You're talking about an album that you're trying to get on.
Everyone's trying to get on that album.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So that's
sick.
another like.
I wonder if he'd do that again. I wonder if did he film that whole?
Yeah.
Oh, he filmed that.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be a documentary on that.
Yeah.
Has it ever come out?
I hope so.
Damn, it hasn't come out yet.
No, but
Like.
I don't know how much I could talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
That's definitely.
That has to come out.
It exists. Yeah.
That exists.
Yeah.
That was filmed.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything.
J. Cole did something similar to that, right? Didn't he do that one time where he just invited a bunch of producers to like a
maybe
week?
for the Dreamville sessions?
Oh, yeah, for the collab album.
Oh, yeah, that video is crazy.
Yeah.
that it's like 30-minute long.
I love artists that do that, man. Just give people a shot, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you said that, oh man, I heard some of these like industry producers beats, and I'm like, man, all right, I got this. This is easy. You know, perception is everything, bro.
Yes.
And I think people have like, I'm not hating on industry producers, man.
No,
Listen, I'm not hating on them. They're talented. But a lot of their talent has to do with their like brand equity. It's not the sound; it's the brand equity.
That's a talent in itself.
That's a talent. Like they built a great brand for themselves.
That's a talent I got to work on.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something they maybe do better than the internet guys, right?
Yeah.
They've been able to like leverage their music careers into like bigger brand opportunities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when it comes down to the music, because I'll tell you, some of these celebrity guys came to BeatStars before and said, hey, I want to sell beats on BeatStars. I want to see what happens. And, you know, I'll sell under an alias, or I'll sell, you know, and they try to like they try to price their beats really high because they want to leverage their brand name and stuff like that. And a lot of times they couldn't compete with the internet guys, bro. They couldn't. Like the internet wins all the time.
Yeah.
When you put millions or hundreds of thousands of people in a room and you're saying, go compete with the best of the best, the young, like what you guys do on the software at such a young age, like, man, the way you guys manipulate things now, like, I'm sorry, like, you guys are a problem.
Yeah.
Like, you guys ain't going away.
Yeah.
And it's showing now. It's showing now from an industry perspective. Like you talk to Greg Mateo, right? I want to talk about your relationship with him too.
Yeah.
But you know, you talk about like BeatStars Publishing and kind of like every week the placements that are coming out, like the stuff that you guys are producing, like you guys are powering the whole fucking internet, bro. Like there's like some weeks is like number ones in 5 different countries at the same time. I'm like, what the fuck?
If there's an album out every single week, it's gonna be on the BeatStars Publishing post. That post is basically New Music Friday. Like every single thing is there. Every single thing.
And it's not to say that it came from the platform. It's just you guys are the talent that's spreading your music in multiple different ways. You know, in a way where where it was put together like in a Russ situation where it's like, okay, we're gonna go in, or it was licensed online, or there's no rules. There's no rules how the collaborate. At the end of the day, the core factor is you guys in the music that you make, and it's so good that it spreads in ways that you guys don't even understand. Sometimes you don't even you don't even know. Sometimes
100%.
you don't even know who's listening to your beats. Sometimes
Yes.
you have no clue.
Yeah,
You have no clue.
We get DMs
There's some big dogs listening to your beats. I'm telling you right now.
I had a couple years ago. I had a DM like randomly on a Tuesday morning. I got a DM from Tyga. It was just a YouTube link. This beat had been released. It hadn't even been released for a week. It had less than like 5,000 views.
Right.
This hard, send a pack. Like that was the day where I was like, oh, okay, you never know who's listening. And like I can't tell you how many different stories about all the placements that came from that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Come on, these artists are savvy, bro. They're smart. They're not gonna wait for A&Rs to send them beats, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, dog. Really? We live in that world? You really think artists are waiting around for A&Rs to send them beats?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dog. I'm sorry. If you're an artist and you're savvy and you're making it in the game independently or even on a major label, like, and you're still relevant year after year, I'm sorry, you're not waiting around for another human being to send you beats. I'm sorry, you're not doing it. You're gonna go find your sound. You're gonna go. The internet is open, my dog.
Yeah.
The internet is open. It's not
Build
closed.
that relationship,
You know what I
going
mean?
direct. Like that's a lot of the times, honestly. Like to this day, I don't even think I've had one placement from an A&R. They've all came from like the artist reaching out directly myself. Like,
Yeah, of course.
you know, respect to A&Rs.
Respect the A&Rs, but
I don't know.
yeah, right. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen.
Exactly.
You know.
I think there's a lot of middleman thing going on that like I think just understanding that you never know who's, and honestly if you are like low key it might be better for you than, because a lot of the times artists want like beats that nobody knows about. They'll be in the trenches going through the new and like whatever has like a lot like little amount of plays so I can get like nobody has this, you know. You really never know who's listening.
You know, I feel like you know, Greg is here. He's in the room somewhere, and I feel like he should have a seat because he's the way he talks about you and the way he like advocates for you, like it's been crazy. And to have someone like him on your side, it's so dope to watch because that dude will fight for you for real.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And just explain a little bit about like Greg at BeatStars,
I think I owe a lot of. You were asking me earlier about how did I avoid getting caught into some bad situations. A lot of it was because of Greg, and because of the fact that when I had certain questions, Greg was just there. Greg found me early, and it was just any questions I had, anything I needed, just he was there. Always answering a text, always answering a call, like just whatever I need. I can't thank that man enough to this day for the things that he does, and like the fact that he's always looked out for me, and like, I want to do this. Well, here's how you should go about it, or whatever. I have a problem with these people. All right, I'll go talk to them for you.
Right.
And
Right.
he just gets things done, man.
It's amazing.
I can't speak highly enough about how much he's looked out for me and everything. I owe a lot to that man.
Hell yeah. No, man. Greg's an amazing dude. I have a lot of history with that guy too. We've been working together for 16 years, I think, or something like that. You know,
that's my guy, man.
Yeah. We were talking about just like longevity, you know, and this like feeling of just you in this self-competition mode with yourself to kind of keep going, you know, and not a lot of people have that, you know. I've been doing this shit for so long, dude. I've seen producers dominate BeatStars for a year or two and then just disappear.
Yeah.
They lose the love for it. I'm talking about dominate, like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year making money and then just wither away. Or they get industry folks in their ear and then they get turned away from their online business that they built and, you know, they forget about like that. And then they come back years later and say, man, that's one of the biggest regrets of my life is like giving up my own independent business for dreams that people were trying to sell me, you know? And then, you know, just from the creative part, keeping yourself in a relevant place to feed, you know, your business. At the end of the day, it's still a business, bro. I understand, like, we love music, we love making music and all that kind of good stuff, but at the end of the day, you're trying to, you know, make sure your customers are fed with, you know, the best product, the best quality music, diversity in your music. And I always wondered, like, you've been doing this successfully now for a few years, man. You've been killing it. You're one of the top selling guys on the platform. You've got beats that have gone crazy viral on YouTube. And like, what keeps you going year after year and not like just getting drunk on the success in a way, you know?
I think first off, I feel like I don't see my success. Like, I feel like I haven't even started yet, which is like, I think that's a big part of it, is that the goals I have and the aspirations I have are so high that I feel like I haven't even broken surface yet. And to like certain degrees, yes, but like, I think it's really the people I look up to, the multi-hyphenists, the Kanyes and the Childish Gambinos and the Tylers of the world. If that's the bar for me, like, there's so much to be done, right? And I think it's just everlasting curiosity and love for what I do. I think you have to be crazy to do art and music in general for as long as like, if you don't love it, you're not gonna find that motivation outside of yourself, I think. And I think just like those levels and like the longevity, every single person I just talked about has evolved over their careers every single time. I think a lot of the times I like to look at myself as a fan of myself. Like, how do I keep myself excited? How do I like, and whether that's dropping an album with an artist who we had a song who copped it off of BeatStars, went up, hey, let's do an album together. We did a whole thing. Now I have reached 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Amazing,
just for making a collab. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
that's by the way, that's an underrated, like, that's an underrated thing.
Yeah.
You know, like where producers are not really jumping in the ring from like an executive role or like a label role where they can really like, you know, really help an artist that's coming up, really give them their sound, be a part of their career trajectory, help them succeed. And at the same time, kind of be part of it on the business side too. So it's like, not a lot of producers take that leap, and I'm really happy that you're doing that, because it's really important. It's important for those artists. They need resources. They need help. You know?
Yeah, I think a big part of that was I founded a label officially this year, Godspeed Music, but it was in the works for a while, and the whole point of that was to create a place where people who are fans of my music could all flock to, and like became like whoever's a fan of my sound, there's like this consistency with albums dropping over the, like you can go to this place and there will be music from like-minded people that you know that because of the reputation I have built, you know it's going to be good. And so I think for me, constant evolution is such a big important thing for me, especially because things move so fast on the internet. I think it's so important to just always be leveling up and always be moving. So I think a big part of it is I understand where I'm trying to go. And so for me to bridge the gap is just, I can scale that down to what I have to do this month, this day, you know? And so I think a big part of that's figuring out, what do you want to do? Like there's so many parking spots you can have in the industry and like different ways you can go. And I think if you figure out where you're going, just bridge the gap. That's it. And so
we didn't really talk about like it's a real life topic where, you know, every successful person they have to create sacrifices in their life. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, the people we love sometimes get sacrificed in the journey. Yeah. It's sad, you know, like even for me to be in the position that I'm in, I've had to sacrifice a lot, bro. Yeah. Like, you know, time with my kids, family, you know, just being obsessed about trying to build the greatest music company in the world. Like that's my obsession. Yeah. Like when you do it for 16 years, you're like, you said, you're like, I'm looking at this, I'm creating the bar here. I'm creating the bar here. I'm creating all these goals. And for every year for me, it's when I jump on the court, I want to build the biggest global music platform that helps independent music creators all around the world. And every day I wake up and I tell myself, you haven't started yet. Yeah. Like you're not even close. It never
goes away then.
Yeah. You're not close. Like, you know, so I'll get messages in our team channels like, oh, we hit this accolade. We hit the, I don't care. Yeah. What's next?
It's in the past now.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how I kind of keep myself going. What was there anything that you can point to in terms of like sacrifice that you've learned from in a way where to achieve your goals, anything that you regret about the sacrifices that you had to make to achieve this?
I don't know if I would say, I'm not a really huge believer in regret because that's where lessons come from, but for sure, I would tell you when I was in college and trying to run BeatStars up from 0 subscribers, 0 followers, everything, my day was wake up at 6 a.m, drive to college, to school. There's a 45-minute drive, listen to samples on the way, not make beats in class. I don't recommend this. Don't do that. But like, go to work, go to the gym. I wouldn't have time for music till 9 p.m. For me, the option is I'm either doing this or nobody else is going to do this for me. Like this doesn't exist if I'm not going after it. So I think I just wanted this so bad that like I just didn't even see anything else. And I think after a while, you get to certain positions to where this is a huge thing I went through last year where I understood that like the level of sacrifices I was making and things I was doing at certain points may not serve the next chapter you got to go to. Like you may need to reformulate and do things in a different way because it might have worked this way to lock in for this many hours and like do this type of way. But now but there you hit a ceiling. Now you got to do it all over again and then do it all over again. Once you like, it's that constant evolution of like hitting that benchmark and doing it all over again. Like for me, coming from that small town, all I ever wanted was to make music for a living and live in LA. Technically, I'm just playing with house money at this point. Like, so when I got there, I was like, well, what do I do? That was a whole thing I had to go through. It was like, damn, like it was almost me. Like, I didn't even know this could like happen. Like, so like it happened and I was like,
what's next?
Okay, what's next? And that was a whole thing that I had to do. But like me, the way I was living my days up until that point for the next had to change. Yeah. And so I think looking back on the sacrifices, I would say, what are you sacrificing and why? Because this is a huge thing for placements and like sessions and stuff like that. Like a lot of the times I wasn't making things I was happy with and I wasn't producing things for myself. So my days were becoming means to an end. So my life was becoming a means to an end. And when every day is a means to an end because you're just focused on, you know what I'm saying? So it's obviously easier done and said in practice. But after the end of it, I was like, I don't want to be doing this. Why am I doing this? Right. But I had to go through it to learn. So I think just like understanding why you're sacrificing and everybody says the journey is the the way, but like the analogy I always drop is like when you finish GTA 5 and you have all the money, it's not fun anymore. You don't play it anymore. You play the game to play the game.
Right.
So I think just it's hard to accept that, but just like ask yourself what you're sacrificing for and like where you're trying to go, and look around the way. Like it's I would say what I regret is sometimes it's like not going to that birthday party or going out to hang out with that friend, because there was times when I got to this place and then like, okay, now I have nobody to share it with, or like now there's still life at the end of the day. So I think just if you understand why you're sacrificing for it, it's like, no, because I'm gonna do that. Like that balance is something I'm still pretty bad at, but trying to learn it. You know, I think, and I think it came with some of the success too. Yeah,
get better over time.
Just focusing on one day at a time, and
comes with age. I feel like comes with age, maturity.
Yeah, it only happened through going to. I would just say, just throw yourself into it. Just take off the pressure. Just learn the hard way.
Yeah. Well, bro, it's been an honor sitting with you, learning with you, hearing your story. Likewise. Like we met a few times, but getting to really understand Jacob, really understand PilotKid, like your journey is really inspiring. You're such an intellectual dude. You're like, I honestly couldn't tell you where the ceiling is for you, because you know where you're going, and I don't think anyone's going to stop you to get there.
Blessing.
And so it's been an honor, like, to just watch that journey and be a part of it. And we're blessed to have you in this community, bro.
Appreciate you. Likewise.
And thank you for being on this podcast.
None of this happens without BeatStars, bro. Everything I said, none of this happens without BeatStars. So
the music first, music first, your drive, your dedication, your gratitude, and it's so well deserved. You deserve it all. Appreciate you, man. Do you have any last words for the community out there?
No. Follow me on Instagram, PilotKid_. Got a lot of albums dropping this year. Focus on the journey. That's it. Enjoy it.
Well, that's it. Another episode of Pay the Creators with Abe Batshon here at BeatStars with PilotKid, legend, young legend, and keep in touch with this guy and watch his journey continue to unfold in amazing ways. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.